Today, we will talk about solving word problems involving division of fractions. But first, let's have a short recall on how to divide fractions and mixed fractions. So these are the steps that we'll follow. First, we change the mixed fraction into an improper fraction. Then, we multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. Next, if the product is an improper fraction, we change it into a mixed number. And finally, we reduce our answer to simplest form. Now let's try to solve the following word problems. For our problem number 1, we have Arthur is having an online class for 8/10 hour. He stopped for a break and do some stretching every 2/5 hour. How many times did he stop? Now let us recall how to solve word problems. The first step is to analyze the problem. So in here, we are asked to find how many times did he stop for a break. It is stated in the problem that Arthur stopped to do some stretching every 2/5 hour. Okay? So that means we need to find how many 2/5 hour are there in the whole duration of his online class, which is 8/10 hour. So for our solution, we'll follow the ESSA form, which stands for equation, solution, and answer. So let's start with the equation. Again, we need to know how many 2/5 hour are there in 8/10 hour. So our solution will be 8/10 divided by 2/5 is equal to n. Now let us remember how to divide simple fractions. And the first step is to multiply the dividend, which is the 8/10, by the reciprocal of the divisor, which is 2/5. The reciprocal of 2/5 is 5/2. Because again, to find the reciprocal of a fraction, we simply have to change or switch the position of the numerator and the denominator. So we'll have 5/2. Then we multiply the numerators. 8 times 5 is 40. And we multiply as well the denominators, which is 10 times 2 is equal to 20. Our answer here is an improper fraction, so that means we have to change it or simplify it. Okay? And for us to do that, we'll simply divide the numerator and the denominator. And 40 divided by 20 is 2. 2 times 20 is 40. Since there is no remainder, that means our final answer is just a whole number 2. Therefore, Arthur stopped for a break 2 times. Now let's proceed to our next example. How many 1/16 pieces of paper can be cut from a 4/8 piece of paper? So in this case, you are asked how many 1/16 pieces of paper are there in a 4/8 piece of paper. Again, for us to answer this problem, we'll follow the ESSA form. And for our solution, we'll have 4/8 divided by 1/16. Because again, we are asked to find how many 1/16 pieces are there in 4/8 piece of paper. So for us to solve this, we'll multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor, which is 16 over 1, or simply 16, because any number whose denominator is 1 is equal to the numerator itself. Now let's multiply the numerators. 4 times 16, that will give us 64. And 8 times 1 is 8. Again, we have here an improper fraction, so that means we'll divide the numerator and the denominator. And 64 divided by 8 is 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Okay. Again, we do not have a remainder. That means our final answer is just a whole number 8. So, there are 8 pieces of 1/16 paper which can be cut from 4/8 pieces of paper. Next, how many 4/8 meter pieces of lace can be cut from a 40 meters of lace? So this question is almost the same as what we had in problem number 2. But in this case, we are asked to find how many 4/8 are there in 40. So for our equation, we'll have 40 divided by 4/8. And again, to solve this problem, we'll have to multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. Since our divisor is 4/8, then its reciprocal is 8/4. Then 40 times 8 will give us 320. Then we just copy the denominator 4. Again, our answer here is an improper fraction, so that means we'll have to divide the numerator by the denominator. 3 divided by 4 is 0, so let's include the next digit. 32 divided by 4 is 8, and 8 times 4 is 32. Then we'll have to bring down 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0, and 0 times 4 is 0, so there's no more remainder. That means 320 divided by 4, or 320/4, is simplified as 80. That means there are 80 pieces of 4/8 meter of lace which can be cut from a 40 meters of lace. Next problem. Mika has 6 meters of cloth. She will use it for making scarves. How many scarves can she make if each scarf needs 2/3 meter? So again, for us to solve the problem, we need to find how many 2/3 are there in 6 meters. Because again, each scarf needs 2/3 meter. And what she has is 6 meters. So for our equation, we'll have 6 meters divided by 2/3. So again, let's multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. So that will be 3/2. Okay, 6 times 3 is 18. Then we'll have to copy the denominator 2. 18/2 is improper. So let's divide 18 and 2, and that will give us 9. 18 minus 18 is 0. So our final answer is a whole number 9. Therefore, she can make 9 pieces of scarves. Let's have problem number 5. In a newspaper drive, 4 classes collected 1/2 kilogram, 1/3 kilogram, 1/4 kilogram, and 1/5 kilogram. What is the average collection per class? In this problem, we are asked to find the average. When you see the word average, it means that the operation that we will use is division. But what will we divide? When you say average, it means we need to add all these numbers and divide the sum by the number of addends we have. So that our equation will be 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 1/4 plus 1/5. Again, we have to get first the sum of these fractions. Then we divide it by the number of addends. In here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 addends. So we divide the sum of these by 4, and that will give us the average. So let's solve. 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 1/4 plus 1/5. We have here 4 dissimilar fractions. So in this case, I will not use the butterfly method because that will make our solution longer. So instead, let's find the LCD of 2, 3, 4, and 5 using continuous division method for LCM. So let's have 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 of the numbers here are divisible by a common factor, and those are 2 and 4. So let's divide them by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 is not divisible by 2, so let's copy 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 5 is not divisible by 2, so let's copy 5. In 1, 3, 2, and 5, they don't have any common factor aside from 1, so that means we'll stop dividing here. And let's multiply 2 times 1, that will give us 2. Times 3, that's 6 times 2, 12, times 5, it's 60. So the LCD of 2, 3, 4, and 5 is 60. Now let's change our fractions into similar fractions by dividing the LCD to the old denominator. 60 divided by 2 is 30 times 1, that will give us 30. 60 divided by 3 is 20 times 1, that will be 20. 60 divided by 4 is 15 times 1, that will give us 15. And 60 divided by 5 is 12 times 1, that will give us 12. Now, we have here similar fractions. So let's add the numerators. 30 plus 20 is 50, plus 15, 65, plus 12 is 77. Then we copy the common denominator, which is 60. So we already found out that the sum of 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, and 1/5 is 77 over 60. Okay, we're not done yet because we still have to divide it by 4. So let's divide 77 over 60 by 4 to get the average. Okay, so remember, for us to divide a fraction by a whole number, we have to multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. So 4 has a denominator here, therefore its reciprocal is 1/4. Then 77 times 1 is 77, and 60 times 4 is 240. 77 over 240 is already in its simplest form. That means the average collection per class is 77 over 240 kilograms. Now let's have our last example. Jenny has 10 and 1/2 kilograms of mangoes. She kept 4 kilograms for her family and shared the rest equally among her 2 brothers. How many kilograms of mangoes will each brother get? This problem here involves 2 operations. Why is that? Because if you will analyze the problem, you're asked to find the number of kilograms of mangoes each brother get. Jenny originally has 10 and 1/2 kilograms of mangoes. But in the problem, it was stated that she kept 4 kilograms. When you say kept, it means that the operation involved there is subtraction. Then, she shared the rest, or meaning to say the remaining, after she subtracted 4 kilograms from 10 and 1/2 kilograms, to her brothers, which are 2 brothers. Okay, so in here, we will do subtraction and division. So let's have our equation. We have 10 and 1/2 minus 4, because again, she kept 4 kilograms for her family. Then the remaining, after subtracting, was divided among her 2 brothers. So we'll have to do division here. Okay, now let's solve. Let's start first with the subtraction as stated in the problem. So let's have 10 and 1/2 minus 4. 10 minus 4 is 6. Then 1/2 minus, there's no fraction here, so we'll just copy the 1/2. Okay, so what remained, or what was left, is 6 and 1/2 kilograms. And this is what she divided equally among her 2 brothers. So let's proceed to the next solution. 6 and 1/2 divided by 2. Let us recall how to divide mixed number and a whole number. Whenever we have a mixed number, we have to change it first into an improper fraction. So 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1, that's 13. Then we copy the denominator 2. Then we multiply this new dividend now by the reciprocal of 2. 2 has a denominator 1 here, so its reciprocal is 1/2. Now let's proceed. 13 times 1 is 13. 2 times 2 is 4. 13 over 4 is an improper fraction. So let's divide the numerator and the denominator. 13 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Then we'll have a remainder 1. So that means 13 over 4 is simplified as the whole number 3 will be written here. The remainder will be the numerator and the divisor will be the denominator. So our final answer now is 3 and 1/4. Therefore, each of her brother got 3 and 1/4 kilograms of mangoes. And that's it for our lesson for today. You did very well.